welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new NoDQ review number 262. I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Just four of us. I like these shows with just four of us because it really moves things along, less talking over each other. But of course, Aaron Rift is here, the reliable one, Walter Cruz, and Mike is back. Mike, the brother of the Ultimate Warrior. Mike, what's going on, man? You're big
Nothing
football.
much.
You're a big football guy, man. How's your fantasy football teams doing right now?
Funny you should ask that because the second half of the Niners-Eagles game pulled out a victory for me. Deebo Samuel and Devontae Smith went nuts and garnered myself a $60 win for the week because this particular league has a weekly winner with money, and I was nowhere going into halftime of that game, and those two went nuts in the second half, and so
I always do like 4 or 5 leagues, and then I usually am competitive in about 3 or 4 of them. And if I can win one, I make money. So anyway, Aaron, I know I'm sidetracking, and Aaron's getting lost with football. But Mike, welcome aboard this week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Get back to the routine. We got a few topics plus whatever the NoDQ Galaxy gives us, and I will come back to you shortly. Walter, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well. All Aaron heard just now was that whole time.
Yeah, but you watch sport, right? Well,
yeah. I'm a football guy. Yeah, we at my job we did everybody puts some money every week, picks all the game winners, and whoever gets the most correct. If there's a tie, you got to pick the final score of one of the games, and whoever was the closest without going over, you get all the money. And we should do that weekly. We got to get back into that. That was a fun thing.
Nice. You can't really do that for wrestling. I mean, there's been like WWE's done fantasy wrestling in the past. How does that work? I still can't believe that there's actual betting wherever it is in the world on fake wrestling. That's crazy. But
I have no idea how they do that.
Anyway, Aaron, what's going on?
Well, it was a busy start of the week coming off of Survivor Series and CM Punk. Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. NoDQ columnist extraordinaire. He says, nice work on the CM Punk coverage. I appreciate that, Tito, and thank you for your columns. He got like 3 or 4 out, Virtue. He was a busy man this week. So, yes, thank you, CM Punk, for coming back and bringing some debate and discussion to the wrestling world. Everybody's enjoying what's going on and looking forward to what's coming up. The weekend's been a bit slower. Caitlin and I finished Super Mario Wonder, got 100%, by the way, did everything, including that brutal last level.
6 medals then, right?
6 medals,
nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
That invisible one at the end, that was
brutal.
Tough.
There needed to be a checkpoint right at that one, not 3 before it. But other than that, we did it. You grinded. You did it.
I'll tell you this. If there was no 3 checkpoints, I don't think I would have been able to complete that one.
Dude, brutal.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's nice to see that little 6 gold medals. So
yeah, great game. And we're playing the Super Mario RPG remake, which was one of my favorites as a kid. It's a pretty easy game, but I think it's really fun to play. I definitely recommend it.
Dude, I'm so ahead of you, Aaron. I already did that 100%. I'm crazy, man. I get all these games this time of year. Don't even wait for Christmas. Blow right through them. But
why not?
Hey, when they're good, they're good. You play them.
So we sidetracked enough. We talked about football. We talked about video games a little bit. It's time to get into some wrestling.
Okay.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. He says, better Mike Myers or Mike Awesome? Is he talking about Michael Myers or the other one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I would say Michael Myers is better over Michael Awesome, but Mike Peters is my favorite Mike. So there's your answer
Aaron.
right there.
Thanks, Aaron.
No problem. I'm ready to go, Virtue. Let's get started.
First topic. So Randy Orton obviously returned at Survivor Series. Kind of got, it was a big deal the way the whole War Games match ended. And of course, Punk came back. But so the talk of the internet, overshadowed Randy Orton. But Orton, is now officially going to be on SmackDown. Walter, whether there really is, official brand split rosters or whatever, Orton says he's on the SmackDown roster. This has to lead us to believe that he's probably maybe going to be some filler for Roman Reigns heading up the first of the year into Royal Rumble. I would like to see that because I think Randy Orton's at the point of his career where he doesn't have to win, but if he can give like that false hope of, hey, I'm going to win my 15th title or whatever it would be, just to make like that match, those last closing minutes of that match exciting, an RKO out of nowhere and Roman needs to have help or foot on the rope or something like that. That's, I think, where we're at heading into the first of the year into Royal Rumble. And it's going to be another nice notch on Roman Reigns' belt heading into WrestleMania. So Walter Cruz, what do you think right here? Randy, solo Randy, right? There was really nothing to come back to with the Riddle thing being gone. And here we are. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it'll be Orton. I definitely see him facing Roman, and I already see the spear getting turned into the RKO, and then maybe the low blow kick out. We haven't seen that in a couple matches, so that's probably going to come back where he kicks out and it ends up being a low blow. But yeah, it's a filler opponent, definitely the Rumble, so that gives Orton an excuse not to be in the Rumble so that he won't. I'm the only one that says this, but aside from Stone Cold, I hate repeat winners, so I need some new blood winning the Rumble. I don't want to see people that won it in the past. So it's good that Orton possibly might not be in it so that he can face Roman, but obviously I don't think he's the one to dethrone it. But there's also really no brand split, so I don't see this whole thing. It's just he had to go to SmackDown so Punk can be on Raw so that Fox doesn't get Punk after the bullcrap they pulled of not renewing SmackDown because they didn't have Punk earlier. So pretty much this is a middle finger to Fox. This is what this is. Even though Punk's going to be on Fox next week, that's pretty much a middle finger to me. So, I mean, good for Orton. He looks great, and I'm just glad he's back, and hopefully his back sustains and he can last. What did he say he wanted to do, Aaron? 10 years? Hopefully we could get that out of him.
So, Walter, what do you think about the way SmackDown ended when he RKO'd Nick Aldis? Like, what's going to come of that? Like, if you're going to be a true authority figure, we've seen like Brock go off the rails in the past, and they'd make these fake fines or suspensions, like for Brock to be away for a while. What happens here with this one? I mean, we know Aldis was recently an active wrestler, so but does everybody know that? What do you think? That was interesting. I didn't think that would happen, but it did.
Yeah, people don't learn. Never trust a snake. You couldn't trust a rattlesnake in Austin, and you can't trust the viper. So just don't get comfortable. That's all that was. We'll see what happens. I mean, he's not going to full-blown go back into Punk kicking authority figures like he used to, but that was just like thanks for signing me, like a joke. I think it's like a rib from Orton. Just I don't think nothing will be made of it. All this might say, I'll let you slide on that one, but if it happens again, then it might be something like that because he just came back, so they can't run no suspension angle with him.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe a fine. Maybe just one of those where the announcer says, Orton was fined $50,000. Make him sound like a big player, like a big athlete that gets fined ridiculous amounts of money. Okay, Mike, coming over to you here. Thoughts on Randy Orton, SmackDown, the potential of Roman Reigns, not the notch on Roman's belt. Like, I love it, right? Because during this whole run, he's really putting those names on there. Well, Orton's one of them not on there. So what do you think?
Yes, I agree with you 100%. My only concern, how many LA Knight, because I think they teased it a little bit on SmackDown, how many LA Knight, Orton versus Solo and Jimmy are we going to have to sit through before like they branch off? Because that I didn't like. I get why they did it because Orton was getting pounded by the bloodline. So who's the next SmackDown guy that's going to save the day? Obviously, LA Knight's the choice there. But so I'm guessing the first order of business for Orton is going to be a tag match with Orton and LA Knight versus the bloodline, which will lead up to Roman and Orton. So I just hope we don't have to see every single week a tag match between LA Knight and Randy Orton and the bloodline.
And that's how they like to fill shows. And we are in that point right now where the end of this year, like how much filler are we going to have on Raw and SmackDown as they like to phone in at the end of the year? Aaron, was it last year? Wasn't there one SmackDown around New Year's just before where they brought Cena and it was like Roman? Like, I wish they would have one show they would promote Reigns to show up for before the end of the year and maybe even CM Punk was going to be like you knew everybody was going to be on that show, and you'd like to see what they would do. I hate when they phone it in. Anyway, what do you think, Aaron, on all this?
Well, Mike's right about that. We're probably going to see variations of those guys wrestling over the next couple of months. So it is what it is. And I'm looking forward to the match, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. Now, this basically eliminates CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at the Rumble, which was an idea that I had brought up here on the NoDQ review. But they could do that at Elimination Chamber, perhaps. They could save it till after WrestleMania. I'm not thinking it's going to be WrestleMania, but I think this is a good idea to do this match, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. It's definitely something we've been anticipating for a while, and one guy that Roman Reigns has not defeated yet. Roman Reigns is scheduled to return on the 15th of December, and I believe they'll be taping SmackDown, so he'll be on for like 2 shows, and then he'll start making more appearances as we get into the new year. And where Randy Orton goes after Roman Reigns, who knows? Maybe he feuds with Nick Aldis. Somebody brought up Nick Aldis possibly wrestling. This could be a setup for that eventually. Like maybe Nick Aldis and Randy Orton keep butting heads, and that's what leads to Nick Aldis stepping away from the authority figure role and getting back in the ring and feuding with Randy Orton. So I'm very interested to see what they do with Randy. I suspect he'll be feuding with Roman Reigns for the next couple of months, maybe Solo Sikoa. And from there, will it be Nick Aldis? Will it be somebody else? That remains to be seen. But very happy to see Randy Orton back. He looks in great shape. He seems very happy to be back. And I'm very, very much excited for what's to come.
So if we had to call the exact end of Reigns and Orton, if it does happen at Royal Rumble, Walter, what do you think about this? Somehow Jimmy's out there, because you know how Roman Reigns rolls, mob mentality. There's going to be a dirty finish. Jimmy's up on the top coming down for the splash, and then he gets hit with that RKO that Randy likes to do with people flying down at him, but then just distracted enough to turn around and do a spear. I think that's how we're going to get that match ended. What do you think? I don't know. I was just thinking.
Yeah, probably. Or Solo. Make Solo cause it, so Solo be the bigger star, and then
a clean win to start the year would be great over Randy Orton. That would be the time to do it, to really say Roman can win clean, and Cody, you might not be able to do it. Like that would be.
Yeah,
I wish Orton would step up and say, "Hey, like Triple H, Roman, he's got to beat me clean." Like
that'd be nice.
This is the time to do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, Virtue, I agree with you.
I just think Solo's going to interfere, and it's ended up being Orton versus Solo at WrestleMania.
You're probably right on that, but I'm thinking that if anybody could lose clean to Roman Reigns and not be fazed by it, it would be Randy Orton. He's the guy. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. He says, Randy Orton versus CM Punk for SummerSlam. You don't think so, Walter?
Only if there's a tie. If one of them ends up with the championship, like otherwise, why?
Well, I mean, thanks for the super chat, but like we got Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, then SummerSlam. So let's not worry about SummerSlam yet.
It's a ways away, but I could see that match if CM Punk makes it 6 months. I mean, that's something people are talking about.
So far, so good, right, Aaron? I mean, I haven't really heard any bad stuff. And I'm sure in AEW, we would have already heard something by now with a week and a half, 2 weeks gone by. Are we good? We ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Speaking of AEW, Mike, and that's okay if you didn't watch Collision last night for this topic, because I'm going to fill you in here.
All right.
Cody Rhodes was an EVP. He left WWE, now main eventing WrestleMania.
Yes.
Jade Cargill came over, which was, that was kind of a weird one because she was a homegrown. They pushed her like they wanted to treat her as a star, that undefeated streak, TBS champion. She came back briefly, but then was gone from the company. WWE picked her up. Scratching my head with that. The whole CM Punk stuff happened. We know what he's back in WWE. The hell is frozen over. And we hear like Britt Baker, and this could be a work, right? Especially this one with the devil stuff coming up. But she's like, I'm not on TV, on social media. I'm not on TV. I don't get to do live promos. I haven't done one all year, but meanwhile, so-and-so gets this time and so-and-so gets this time. And, I didn't think much of that. I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's like working an angle. And then I see Matt Hardy, and I don't know if it was a podcast or on social media, but like speaking up, hey, we're the Hardys. We don't have to necessarily go over people, but treat it like, make it worthwhile. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what's really going on here? I mean, is the locker room starting to get split? Not split, but are we finally at that point now that there's a good percentage of wrestlers that might be wanting out of their contracts or gone? Malachi Black, one of them. In the he left the Vince McMahon WWE. He probably wants back in the Triple H WWE. What do you think here, Mike? I think we're starting to get more and more. Some of it could be worked, but I think Tony Khan needs to buckle down here, or else there's going to be wrestlers that are going to have some, bad blood and just want to get out of there. And that's not good. That creates a toxic locker room. What do you think?
Well, what I think is, now, again, obviously I'm not behind the scenes. I don't work for AEW. I'm not on the payroll or anything.
But you listen to the dirt sheets, so you got all the
dirt sheets,
information that you need.
And I actually watch them week to week for, the USFL version of the NFL. So it seems to me that Tony, even though he's footing the bill, he's not running the ship as, Vince McMahon Sr., Vince McMahon Jr., and now even with the UFC company that purchased it, and they're running things as a business. Tony Khan is like, hey, okay, you're my buddy. Oh, you want to do this angle? Okay, we'll do this angle. Okay, you're tired of that angle already? All right, let you do this angle. Okay, we'll do this angle. I mean, how many times can they butcher Wardlow? I think there's talent there, and they push him, and then he disappears. Push him, and then he disappears. It's almost like Tony lets everybody do what they want. There's no rhyme or reason to what he's doing. And then the wrestlers are going to get frustrated because when you have a boss that lets you run rampant and roughshod over you, now you've lost control. So I don't know if the Britt Baker thing is a work, but I can tell you one thing. She's got 0 live interview time. She's going to compare herself to Christian Cage and MJF. Have any one of you seen a promo by Britt Baker? They're absolutely terrible. She deserves 0 time on the mic. And that shows you the difference between WWE and the AEW. Like you said, they pushed Jade Cargill, gave her a 15-0 win streak. She was the champion. AEW or WWE signs her because they see big things in her, because she's got everything, really. But they look at her and say, look, she learned nothing. And we're not going to put her on TV other than showing up at a pay-per-view here for a minute there, Triple H or Shawn Michaels saying 2 sentences to her there. But she's learning from start, because they want to put a finished product on TV instead of just, here's the belt, you run with it.
Interesting. And again, right, there's still stuff to be revealed with AEW. And if this whole Britt Baker complaining on social media, and then she's really behind, like her and Adam Cole getting whatever, then it's fine. But with the promo thing, I see Steve-O disagreed with you in the chat that he thinks Britt Baker's got a good promo. I don't watch enough to know that, but I don't think she hasn't given a promo that I'm like, wow, give her the mic more. Walter, what do you think here, Mr.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Britt mentioned MJF when she's one of the rumored things to be involved with the devil. So I don't think that's a coincidence. If it is, it's a hell of a coincidence, because you can't compare yourself to the champ. Like, you can't say the champ's getting more airtime, because it's like, duh, he's the freaking heavyweight champ. Like, he's the main focus of the company. He's the face of the company. Of course, he's going to have more mic time than anyone else. But Matt, and then you see Matt saying something, and it's like, yeah, we're the Hardys. We should be treated like the legends we are. And it's hard to argue with that. He's been in the business over 20 plus years. He knows what he's talking about. And yeah, like Aaron said, Jeff's a screw up, but you got him on the books for a reason in business world. Like, otherwise, take him off the books and release him and let him go off into the sunset. Why have him sitting there wasting your money? And that's Tony's problem. Go ahead, Mike.
Just a little, am I in the minority here? Yes. The Hardys, 25, 30 years ago, maybe not that long, I'm dating myself here, were incredible. And yes, they probably deserve better than to be crapped on. But Matt Hardy does not belong in a ring right now. I mean, he cannot delete. That is the stupidest gimmick I've ever seen in my life. And the only reason he does it is because 80 of the 100 fans that are there will go along with them. And that's the only thing he can do. If you
that's 80%, Mike.
That's right. If you want to be remembered as a legend, you got to go out on top. You can't keep getting into these matches. I mean, Matt Hardy looks absolutely terrible.
All right, so you're justifying, Tony Khan, maybe these people aren't worthy of the TV time, and there's only so much of it to go around. Okay, I mean, that's why we got different people on this panel.
You know what it sounds to me like, though, Virtue?
What?
More and more, they're starting to prove Punk was right. Like,
well, Malachi Black, didn't he mention, like, during an entrance on AEW TV, CM Punk's name? Like, that's weird. Like, just little... Yeah. There's little things here and there. It's like, man, I think there might be some wrestlers that want to jump back over because now the precedent is set. For a while, it was everybody leaving WWE to go to AEW, and then Cody, boom, and then Jade Cargill, which and now CM Punk, and now it's like anything is possible. And Aaron knows, like back in the day with ECW and then WCW and WWF, it was a big deal when wrestlers would flip flop, and it was good. Like it make fans excited.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but
Rick Rude, same night.
yeah. I mean, as long as AEW doesn't lose their MJF, right? That would be like, uh-oh. I think if that happened, we would have to revisit this discussion and be like, we were on to something back then, and now we officially have a problem. But he's probably going to stay, most likely going to stay there. Okay, Aaron, what would you like to add to this?
Mike had some hot takes there, and he made some valid points about Britt Baker. I think her promos were okay, but if you ask me to name a Britt Baker promo or something she said in a promo,
exactly,
I really could not tell you anything. Like I just don't remember. So if she said something really memorable, like it's just not coming to my mind right now as we speak. I think that her thing could be a work, part of the MJF storyline. If it's not, and what Matt Hardy said is him going into business for himself, it's definitely not a good look for AEW, and I think the wrestlers should avoid going on social media and venting their real frustrations, but they're going to do what they're going to do, and I feel like one of them, I'm not sure if it was Andrade or Miro or both of them, for a while, they were tweeting out some stuff, and I was wondering, are these guys purposely trying to get fired from the company? Like, I wasn't sure what the deal was, but you have to think that Malachi Black, he's married to Zelina Vega. He would go back in a heartbeat if he could, I think. Same thing with Andrade. He's married to Charlotte Flair. He'd go back. Miro would probably go back. Quite a few of these guys, I think, realized that they had good spots in WWE, at least when Triple H was the one creatively running their careers. I think that they realized that not everybody can be pushed, and unless you're one of Tony Khan's favorites, you might struggle to make an impact in AEW and get a spot on TV. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, either let those guys go or use them. Now, they should be putting over other people. Like, they're past their prime, right? As Mike said, it's time to put over the younger generation. But the problem is Matt and Jeff don't even feel like stars right now. They feel like just two random guys on the roster. So I feel like you have to figure out a way to present them as stars while using them to elevate others. And right now, I don't think they're doing a very effective job at that. Honestly, I think they should have fired Jeff Hardy when he screwed up, but they kept him around. And they're just not using him. He's out there. He's a random guy, and I can understand Matt Hardy being frustrated with it, but at the same time, it's probably not a good idea to go on social media and complain about it. Virtue made some great points. Walter, anything you would like to add?
I just wanted to ask you think Tony just has buyer remorse for signing all these people? Remember I called it a long time ago, like, stop signing everybody.
But, like, he's not slowing down. Edge, Will Ospreay, he's not slowing down.
Yeah. And keep in mind that we got a whole new round of people that are going to have their non-compete clauses coming up about a month from now. Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, and there's a whole bunch of other guys. Shelton Benjamin. You know Tony's going to want to bring in those guys, so the roster's going to get even more bloated.
Mustafa Ali. Imagine if this whole devil thing is like Retribution 2.0 in AEW.
What do they got? They got two hours of Dynamite, 1 hour of Rampage, and 2 hours of Collision. So they got 5 hours of TV every week like WWE. But they also don't have as many pay-per-views because they don't do them monthly. So it could get, with a big roster, it could get a little tight, and you're going to start seeing whether it's a shoot or work, what Britt Baker said, what Matt Hardy said. And that just makes, wrestlers know they need to be out in front of that camera to really maximize their worth and make themselves look good and valuable. And a little bit of jealousy kicks in when they're not. That's the hit. Wrestlers have said that in podcasts after the fact. So we know that. It's not like we're speculating any of this. It's just that's the environment. You want to be the star. You want to be in the limelight.
Yeah.
So
totally random question before we go on to the next topic. Whose back tattoo is more impressive, Malachi Black's or Jeff Hardy's? Every time I see those tattoos on their back, I'm mesmerized by them. I think it's such wonderful artwork. It's like, why would you sit there and get that? It's the whole like cartoon demon character. It's pretty impressive. My vote goes to Malachi Black, although Jeff Hardy's is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Jeff has a lot of interesting tattoo work. I think Malachi Black though probably takes it, and CM Punk's got a lot of interesting tattoo work. So does Randy Orton.
Jeff gets credit because some of them are self-done, like with his left hand. Like I saw him talk about his tattoos, so that's pretty cool that he's able to do it himself.
All right, that's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. Shout out to Tito. Says Rampage and Collision are trash, like WCW Thunder.
Yeah, it's
pretty much.
Punk's gone. He was basically all their Collision, and
here's the thing too. Like they got. We talked about how bloated their rosters are, but on Collision, they got the tag team Bear Country or whatever they're called, the Iron Grizzlies, the Grizzly Bears, Iron Savages, whatever the hell their name is. And then you got like who's that guy? Dalton Castle, the Boys, is that what they're called? Like, why are these guys on TV when you got all these other people that you could be utilizing better? And giving them some prominent TV time. Just wondering. Like you got to build new stars, but man, like use the stars you got and try to make something out of them.
I think a Collision should be used to showcase your ROH roster. If you're gonna do something and you bought ROH, what are you doing with it? Like you might as well.
No, you're putting Keith Lee on Ring of Honor. That's what you're doing with it.
I don't know.
There's another guy. If he had the chance to go back to WWE, I think Keith Lee would go in a heartbeat.
Yep.
I
honestly, I know it's your job and everything, but I honestly forget Collision's on sometimes. Like I really do.
It was interesting for a while with Punk. Now it's like, okay, it's 2 more hours of AEW. remember they used to have all those shows on YouTube, Elevation, Dark, and all that. It's like that's Rampage and Collision to me. Like, right? Is that what that is basically now?
Yeah, when Punk was there, it had a little bit of a throwback feel to it, and it was different than Dynamite. But now, since Punk has gone, it's actually just Dynamite Saturday night.
Yep. All right, Aaron, any other super chats, anything you want to bring up on this? I mean, we are going to be talking about CM Punk again. Imagine that. But what do we got before then?
Before we get to the next topic, Psycho Jet Black says, who has the best and worst tattoos in wrestling? Well, Mike, we talked about some of the best. I think Malachi Black, Undertaker would be up there. He's got some cool tattoos. Worst?
Cody.
Yeah. Love you, Cody, but yeah, that neck tattoo, I think most people would say
Goldberg, that generic ass barbed
wire tattoo
thing.
might be cool, but like it should be down, not where when he wears a suit, it's like,
yeah,
I mean, that's like Mike Tyson territory. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and
Brock's one on his front looks kind of goofy too. Like I was never a fan of the sword Brock had on his front, but it is what it is.
I'm not a fan of the Guns' tattoos. Austin
in terms of the best, all the Samoan tribal ones are awesome. Yeah,
they mean and you know they mean it's just more like tattoos mean something to everybody that gets them. Mm-hmm. But that you just know that's blood, like because of the history of Samoans and the Islanders and all that. Like that's why I think those are up there. It's probably some of my favorites.
All right, we're caught up.
Okay, well, here we are. Halfway through the show, and we're going to be talking about CM Punk again. Now, of course, the NoDQ Galaxy, feel free to chime in, throw another wrestler's name out there. Roman and Punk, when is that going to happen? But what I want to talk about to start the CM Punk conversation is so he finally did his return promo to WWE at the end of Raw. So they did actually make people wait the whole 3 hours pretty much, because he came out with less than 10 minutes to go before he cut his promo. And I like, they teased it, Punk's coming out, whatnot. So I don't mind making people stick around against Monday Night Football. I mean, that was probably the best third hour they've had in a very long time. So good for them to at least do that. She comes out and then he cuts the promo. And a lot of people didn't like it. Like, Vince Russo, missed opportunity. Why would Punk come out and pander to the WWE? It should have been hot. Every wrestler should have been interviewed. And they should have showed throughout the show of what they really thought about Punk. Jim Cornette loves Punk. Basically said Punk was playing it safe. So safe, soft, whatever. This is PG Punk. We did not get a pipe bomb promo Punk. And I almost think that it's okay that he didn't do that right out of the gates. You shouldn't mention anything about AEW. But he should have hunkered down. And I think he will on an upcoming one. Maybe let's see what happens on SmackDown Friday. To where we can really start thinking, all right, it's been 10 years. Who's he going to cut the promo on within WWE that he can work a program with? Which we all know it's probably going to be Seth Rollins. I mean, he did kind of do a cryptic in that promo, but it was very safe. For him to say, I'm home, John Cena has said, I'm home. The Rock, I'm home. And now Punk said that, who preached against those guys being part-timers, coming in, taking spotlights, after they were, going to Hollywood. And then here's Punk in that same situation. And maybe it's just all a coincidence. Maybe he's doing it on purpose. Maybe he's like, I'm going to play this one safe because that's going to piss a lot of people off in a different kind of way than if I cut a pipe bomb promo. So I need a few promos from Punk before I'm like, we got the new PG era Punk, and this is what we're going to have to deal with. Let's break this down. Mike, I'm going to start with you. I'm okay with the promo because it left me wanting more. It wasn't what we expected. Remember on the review last week, I did not want to see Punk torch AEW. I was like, no, let's pick something within WWE to create there. He definitely didn't do that. A couple small little seeds, mentioned Heyman indirectly. Lot of good to take out of this, but a lot we still want more. And isn't that kind of good? Like, we sit there and complain as a wrestling fan that we didn't get what we want, but then we start talking about what we want. And then, he's going to be on SmackDown Friday, by the way. Is it really a bad thing how he delivered his promo? I'm not quite sure it was. Mike.
All right. Well, Virtue, one of these times you're going to have me on this pod and you and I are going to be at odds with one another and we're going to debate something, but
we will.
I'm 100% with you. I mean, when a game of Texas Hold'em starts, you don't necessarily go all in with a $2 pot. I mean, you got to get everybody out there. You got to get everybody betting, play the room a little bit. I actually thought it was a good promo. And the subtle line that he gave, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. And I thought that was directed at Seth. And personally, the giving the finger and the FU, Seth may not like CM Punk. In fact, I'm pretty sure he doesn't because of what he said when he left. But I think Seth is smart enough to know where money can be made with those two working together. They don't, like I said, it's not AEW. You don't have to be friends. Let's get money, make money, and push this so people believe, hey, you hate my guts, I hate your guts, and they'll pay to see us. Well, the premium, you guys know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But so I don't think you needed to burn the building down on day one. Like you said, six promos later, if he's like, yeah, I'm glad to be home. I'm just happy to be in yeah, exactly. It's like, then okay, well, wait a second. Now Punk's all this, but why is Punk such a pussy now? I don't like this Punk, whatever. But I thought it was brilliant. And like you said, don't mention AEW. WWE is so far ahead of AEW. It's actually mentioning them is good for them. I mean, so staying out of it. So I actually thought it was good. Let's build up to it, just like the Bloodline. The Bloodline storyline is 3 years in the making and still going, and people are still tuning in. So let's build up to something and go from there.
Now, Mike, I think he's smart enough to pick certain lines to cryptically take. I think the whole "I'm not here to make money," or "I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money," which was after the live mic promo. It was just directed into the camera, so the people in the arena didn't even hear it. To me, that was a cryptic shot at AEW. I'm not here to have elite buddies as EVPs. And to Tony Khan, like, I'm here working with Triple H, who in the past we didn't see eye to eye, but I'm here to make money. I'm not here to be friends like you want your wrestlers to be friends with you. That's what I took out of that. That was his shot to the other side at the very end there. And he licked his lips because that he was really, he couldn't wait. I think he was so, he knew he was going to deliver that at that exact time that his mind was already on that while he was giving the rest of his promo. And again, great. Like, it's CM Punk. We talked about it. We're talking about it now. Some fans were like, okay, it wasn't bad. Some fans liked it. Some fans thought it was awful. That's CM Punk.
Right.
That's CM Punk getting everybody to talk about him in all the different spectrum. I mean, that's star. That is star. And he moved the needle.
Yes.
He moved the needle. I mean, we'll see if he can sustain it. Right? Raw is known to if Raw dips back down, but he bumped Raw up a little bit. And anything else you want to add, Mike? I'm going to pass it on if you're good to go. And you can chime back in, raise your hand if something comes up. You good?
No, like the final thing, like you said, you're there to see him because I personally am not a Punk fan, but I think it's great for business. He's like, I always, the Yankees, the Cowboys, and Notre Dame. That's what CM Punk is. You either love him or you hate him, but you're going to watch.
Yep.
And so I think it's brilliant that they brought him in. And like I said, I don't like him, but I think it makes the show better.
Why don't you like him? Putting you on the spot. I just want to know.
You guys are going to laugh at this, but
Pepsi.
He goes by Pepsi Phil, and I've worked for the competitor for 30 years. So that's a personal line in the sand.
This is great because talk about debate. I was born in 1980, and in the 80s, marketing wise, Pepsi, like to kids, to the next generation. I'm a Pepsi kid, and Tito hates Pepsi, Mr. Tito. I drink Pepsi and Coke. I prefer Pepsi. I must have weird taste buds. Actually, RC Cola is pretty good too. But so we have a difference here, Mike. Now, I don't like Punk because he likes Pepsi, but yeah, I'm a Pepsi guy. So that's interesting. You're a Coke guy.
Now, Mike, would you say that CM Punk has one of the worst tattoos in wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. The Pepsi logo on it. Yeah. Absolutely a horrible tattoo. But again, that's why you like wrestling. It's like, hey, I like this guy because of this reason. I like this because of that reason. And that's the reason I choose to cheer against him, because of that Pepsi tattoo. But like, he's great for business. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer bringing him on, and I'm interested to see where they go with it.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Now over to you, Walter. Chomping at the bit here. Go.
There's no pleasing everyone. If he gave you everything you wanted, people would be like, okay, what's next? And there's no pleasing everyone. It wasn't as safe as people think. There was a lot of hidden gems. You have to break the promo down. He said the wise man thing. That was Paul Heyman. That sets up Roman Reigns. He took little jabs at Seth Rollins. He took little jabs at everything. He just didn't make it. You know what worked about the whole White Rabbit and the Bray Wyatt? That it was cryptic and it set up something later. You don't need everything in your face immediately. You gotta get what's coming next. Like the end of certain Marvel movies and stuff, they tease after the credits. They'll tease what's coming next. You don't need it all in your face. So there's just no pleasing everyone. That I think that promo was good for him as a first one, and I totally agree with Mike. If it's 6-7 promos later, okay, now you got something to complain about. And he's still saying I'm home and all that. So he's got to sink his teeth into it later. You don't have to do it immediately. He's saving it all for later. And I love JJ's comment where he said it was Phil Brooks giving that promo, not CM Punk. I mean, I think he got it right. And people are saying he's fickle and he's home, but that's safe. But he feels like that. I think all along it's time heals all wounds, and he wanted to go back to WWE, just didn't, or wrestling. He just wanted to try other things. And hey, if they would have just gave him I mean, it's easy to say stuff in hindsight, but if he would have had the main event, maybe he would have never left. So we just don't know. Things work out the.
Who made him a millionaire, Walter? WWE, right? WWE. I don't think he had 7 figures in his bank account prior to signing with WWE and working there 9 years.
I don't think so either.
You know, and again, maybe he did like the Summer Punk 2011. He had that run for 3 years. Like it was January, the Royal Rumble 2014 before he left. So like, I feel like he would, and there was some political stuff maybe early on in that run, how he lost the title and the Triple H stuff. But yet he stuck with, that's a long time in wrestling. And he was at the top. He had that title for a while too. And finally it took The Rock to beat him. And, CM Punk, like I don't think he hated it there. I think we've talked about this. He got burned out. He was hurting. Sick. The schedule. And, and maybe he didn't want to, maybe he was upset that him and Taker didn't go on last at Mania, but that was the prior year. Like, so it's not like he immediately left after that. It was, he worked the rest of the year in the Royal Rumble. By the way, I'm going to put you on the spot, Walter. What's your soda of choice?
I'm not really not really a soda person, but out of those two, I would prefer Pepsi. But when I drink soda, I used to drink like the zero ones, like the Pepsi, like the light, the lighter ones. So yeah. Okay. Plus Pepsi, when I drank soda, I just gave up soda like 10, 11 years. I don't know. I never was a big soda guy, but Pepsi owns all these other sodas that I used to like Mountain Dew and stuff. So
you know what we call it here in Ohio? Pop.
What? Yeah,
we call it pop.
Soda pop.
Pop. No, just pop. We don't even say the word pop. Soda. All right, you good, Walter? Anything else CM Punk wise? We'll come back to you.
Yeah, just be patient with them. That's all. You don't need everything. Yeah.
Okay. And it's funny. We talk about CM Punk, and we're going to be talking about him a lot. And the more as time goes on, more and more is going to happen. He'll get in a feud. He'll get in big matches. He's given me the itch, something that Roman during this whole Bloodline era didn't even really do, to go back on NoDQ opinion section and post a new Virtues Rage article. We got one in the works. The rough draft is going. I'm going to be adding to it, editing it, but guess what? CM Punk did that. CM Punk is getting me the itch to put the rage back on. All right, Aaron, over to you, over to the NoDQ Galaxy, if any super chats came in. Talk about CM Punk, the promo. I know you already have, but has anything else popped in your head since you talked about it last?
And I've had time to think about it, so I do have some updated thoughts. But first, we'll get to the super chat. Psycho Jet Black said, Mikey P, do you know how to play 21?
The blackjack game? I'm not any good at it. I know how to play it.
Well, it's a reference to a Jake the Snake Roberts promo from a show called Heroes of Wrestling, where Jake Roberts was talking about gambling and says to never play against him because he cheats. And he says, you want to play 21? I got 22. And that's his famous line. And he was like really drunk or whatever when he said it. But yeah, check out the clip. It's on YouTube. Jake the Snake Roberts at Heroes of Wrestling. And you'll be in for quite a treat. And you'll get to see what he does with his snake during the match. That's an interesting one too.
Right,
and we got
I don't get the context of the question, but okay, I'll check it out.
Just watch it. It's ridiculous. It's considered to be one of the most infamous wrestling moments of all time, like peak Jake Roberts under the influence madness.
Yep.
Psycho Jet Black also sent in another super chat, so he's grilling you here. He says, Mikey P, do you have a Coca-Cola tattoo?
No, I don't have any tattoos. That's why I'm so enthralled with Malachi Black's tattoo.
Live vicariously through him.
See, I wouldn't get a Coca-Cola tattoo because what if tomorrow they fire me and then now I'm stuck with a Coca-Cola tattoo of a company that fired me?
Fair point.
But no, I do not have a Coca-Cola tattoo.
Nice.
There's your answer, Psycho Jet Black. And the Rock's Jock Strap sent in a $2 super chat. Says, Aaron, I hate to be the Attitude Era guy, but it's true. And he sent in another $2 super chat here. Says, why is WWE still missing excitement and unpredictability? Virtue? I think Survivor Series was unpredictable.
Like, okay, it's missing it to the point of, in the Attitude Era, it was weekly, right? Okay. We don't have weekly anymore, but we do get it from time to time. And that's just the era we're in. They're not going to, without competition that threatens them financially from a bit, they're not going to do that. They'll pick and choose to create a buzz, which they've done. Roman turning heel, the whole White Rabbit stuff with Bray Wyatt, when Brock returns from time to time, and now the CM Punk stuff, but they're not, and Cody, but they're not going to do it on a weekly basis like they used to do in the Attitude Era because they had to back then. They were trying to win. They were losing revenue because of a competitor. Yes.
Yeah.
Log off of social media and it'll be a little more unpredictable and surprising. That's true. Social media is the reason why.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a factor, but this plays into what I was going to say about the CM Punk promo. We were all wanting to see fireworks, and we did not get it on Raw. Why did we not get it on Raw? I think the answer is somewhat related to what Virtue said. They don't need to do everything now. Walter brought this up. CM Punk did not need to go out there and blow his verbal load. He can save it for the appropriate time, and the appropriate time is WrestleMania season. You do not want to climax too soon. We got 8 weeks until the Royal Rumble. We got a long time to build up whatever storyline they're doing with CM Punk. And there was a report that WWE was considering debuting him at the Royal Rumble instead of Survivor Series, which makes you wonder if they were expecting to start building him up in January and not November or late November, early December. I think the idea is to wait it out a little bit until we get closer to the Royal Rumble. Football ends because we still have football. So why have CM Punk go out there and say something crazy when we're not even close to the next premium live event? So I get that mindset, and they pick and choose. They don't throw everything out there every single week. Yes, Raw is not as exciting of a show as it used to be, but it's a different era. It's a different era of wrestling. WWE paces things the way they want to do it, and it's been very successful for them. They're doing very well financially, and there's no need to hot shot everything like it was during the Monday Night War. It's just a different era. As far as CM Punk goes, we're going to get something. We're going to get the fireworks. We just got to be patient. And my feeling is, December, it's a lame duck month. Don't expect too much between now and the end of the year. But come January, things will change.
Do you see, like, if he does go in this program with Rollins, Rollins like almost has these lines gifted to him, like whether he uses them or not. While you were gone the last 10 years, I was making a name, I was doing this and, broke up the Shield. Like Rollins has so much material, that he could say, hey, while you were gone, Punk, by the way, I took over. I took your spot. That'll be interesting. And I almost suspect that he will say something similar to that. Yes, Walter.
One big reason I see be patient is what event did he quit after?
Rumble.
What was his last event and what's coming up?
Yep.
If you don't think something big is planned for that, you got to think of like something big is going to happen at the Rumble. We just got to be patient and wait. We don't need to rush it. The best storylines are the ones they take their time with. Like, look how long it took Roman to develop and Bloodline and all that. They kept adding pieces. It didn't all happen at once. Long-term storytelling is what everyone always says. JJ, Jeff, Virtue, Aaron, we all say it. Long-term story. Let it connect. Let the puzzle pieces fall. So
and look, right out of the gates, I ain't waiting around. I'm picking CM Punk to win the Rumble because he's never won it. That'll get him his main event at WrestleMania. They can play it safe versus Seth night one. Cody can still get to Roman. Boom, done. So I'm calling now. I don't have to wait. Punk's winning it for sure.
There you go. And that makes it a little bit more unpredictable too, because we all thought, okay, it's a foregone conclusion that Cody is going to win the Royal Rumble, but now maybe it's CM Punk.
And if he wins it, now you're like, holy crap, at least if he plays it off for a week or two, is it going to be Roman? Is it going to be Seth? Granted, I doubt they're going to like change course with the whole Cody stuff, and Roman, but man, at least they can build up for a week or two where what's he going to say? What's he going to say? Which is, I mean, that's an instance of a winner. Like if Cody wins it, Roman, like, you know what I mean? So I think it's good for a couple weeks after the Rumble if Punk is the one that wins it. And then ultimately maybe has no choice because Seth comes out and attacks him or whatever they do. And he would be given what he always wanted technically with WrestleMania 2 nights now. If he wins a Rumble and even if he doesn't pick Roman and gets night 2, dude, Austin headline night 1. Well, you know what I mean? He's a big Austin guy, and that's another thing. We don't know what happened there, right? We know Austin can still do a little bit of something. Aaron, unpredictability, right? Possibilities where we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I hope whatever they decide, they don't leak anything to dirt sheets. And if the dirt sheets are leaked anything, it's way off the beaten path and something different happens in what they're reporting. Because I don't want to know what's going to happen until it happens when it comes to like the Punk. Stuff like that. Anybody else want to add anything to that? Mike, you look like you were ready to.
Yeah, you guys are way deeper than I am on this. So with you got Roman, you got Cody, Punk, signing Punk coming back, Orton coming back. Let's assume he stays healthy, but that was a pretty major back procedure he had done. So who knows how long he can go with all those guys. Where do you guys see LA Knight fall in? And I'm not a big LA Knight fan. Like, oh, woe is me, he deserves this. That's not what my question is. The guy's 42 years old. He got over basically despite of the company. And now it almost is like with everything happening, it's almost like he's without a place. So what do you think? Where do you think they go with LA Knight from here?
Well, first of all, there's 2 world titles. After Mania, most likely Roman won't have his. So you'll have 2 world titles on their TV. LA Knight, I'm sure they're going to push him to one of them. That's not that far away.
You just think he got to wait for all the pieces to fall and then they'll get him back into it then.
They don't want to bury him until then. But After WrestleMania, that's when you can strap the rocket to him.
There's always July, Money in the Bank. He could be next year's Money in the Bank winner, and you put him right back in the main event scene.
I think he's gonna beat Logan Paul for the U.S. title.
And that'll elevate him up to that level at least, and then buy him some time to get to that next, which is post WrestleMania.
All right.
We got some super chats we'll get to here. Teaching in Color X sent in $2 and said, do you think CM Punk will be scripted going forward? Virtue, I think he's going to have bullet points. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but like he's not going to be like he's not going to have to go out and recite verbatim like we know some wrestlers are given. He's just going to be like, hey, this is where we're going. Go out there and do it. And I think that even if he's like, I don't know, man, I think he would still push back respectfully. Versus other talent would do that. And without Vince there, I think a lot of wrestlers would push back to creative and Triple H more than Vince, because like you push back to Vince, you get buried. And usually the wrestlers that are more established will do that. Like, if Roman doesn't like something, he's going to speak up. Punk's that way too. So bullet points. Yes, Aaron.
Yeah. And remember, during his first run, he was cutting some great promos, telling The Rock, your arms are too short to box with God. Like, that was great stuff. Like, he was on fire on the mic in WWE, and that was when his promos were likely more micromanaged than they will be now with Triple H running the show. So, yeah, I think he'll be fine. I don't think people need to panic about that. Now, Walter, there's a comment here. The Rock's jockstrap said, the jabroni in the upper right is a mark. Your response?
He's entitled to his opinion.
That's not Walter. You just say thanks for the super chat.
Exactly. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the support.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, do you think that Veer came too soon or too late?
Well, you're talking about climaxing too soon. Dude, you can get some sound bites from this episode from Aaron for sure. I mean, what's he in the tag team now, Aaron? Is he one of those guys in the tag team?
Yeah. Indus Shear, whatever.
Yeah.
We should have never even seen Veer to begin with, as far as I'm concerned. Like, the only reason he's working there is because they need some superstars for India. That's pretty much it.
Was he even there when they went to India?
I think so. I believe he was, but I'm not 100% on that. Now, Psycho Jet Black got more serious here. He sent in a $5 super chat. He says, seriously, how about a repeat of WrestleMania 31 where Damian Priest cashes in Money in the Bank between Seth Rollins and CM Punk and pins Seth Rollins as karma? I could see it happening. Like, do you guys think it's a good idea, though, Walter? Do you think that would be satisfying?
I'm not sure people would be satisfying, but it'd be something different. But I mean, Priest does have champion written all over him, but he's getting up there, so you got to do something with him soon. I just hope he doesn't fail. I can't take another fail or something stupid like lose it to Punk and then Punk's the champ or something like that. Like, I don't want to see that.
Any more cashing in unless it's the top two titles like that. Like, that's just silly. You know what I mean? With all due respect, somebody cashing in on Gunther would be a huge deal with his run, but like that why would you still not go for the top titles?
Right. Now, Mike, do you think Damian Priest will cash in successfully? Do you think that's a good idea?
I would like to see him, but I think he's going to cash in and lose because they've waited too long. And I think he's being overshadowed by Rhea. And I think his time to cash in has passed him by. So I think he actually is going to lose, and then that'll be the end of Judgment Day. Because he's going to blame Rhea or JD or Finn or Dominic or whatever. And then he's going to go his own way or whatever. But he's tried unsuccessfully. So I don't think he is going to, like Walter said, he'd like to see him successfully. I would too, because I like Priest. I just do not think he will.
Walter.
I would love it because no one's ever done this. If he waits the full year and come Money in the Bank, we know, all right, tonight he has to cash it in. We just don't know when. And you just set it up to that's when he cashes it in. That night before one of the ladder matches, he cashes it in and he wins.
What if
no one has ever held it the full year,
ahead,
right?
Aaron.
Everybody has let it go.
I was going to say, what if he cashes in the Money in the Bank ladder match when everybody's down and then just grabs the briefcase to hold for another year? That hasn't happened before. Like, I think
it'll be cash. Don't you wait? You have till Money in the Bank or till WrestleMania?
Till Money in the Bank.
Yeah, still July.
Like, that's another thing. that's another thing that bothers me with this. Why would you just not hold it and say, I don't have to win the Royal Rumble. I want to cash it in for the main event at WrestleMania. It just doesn't make. They got to really change some of that. Like I think if you win it, you should have to cash it in before the end of the year.
I said that before.
Yeah,
somebody has to do that one, but it's got to be a face to do that to do it ahead of time like that. Because part of the gimmick as a heel is you want that champion to be beat up, so you guarantee yourself to win that. But I want a face one day to just do that. I'm the main event of WrestleMania, so no shocks, no surprise. Right. I'm the one casting it. Yeah,
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the contract is valid anytime, so you might as well cash it in for the main event of WrestleMania.
Yep. Where you
don't
make
even
the
have
most
to bother
money
with the Royal Rumble. Don't have to bother going through 30 guys. Surprised nobody's done that yet. And Priest is close, so maybe he will. Maybe it'll be a triple threat. Who knows? The Rock's jockstrap. We did not forget about your last one. He says, be honest, most weeks are boring. And apparently I know that. I mean, Virtue, would you say Raw is boring more times than not? Or how are you feeling about Raw in this day and age?
When you don't have the people on, like without Roman being on it every week, and then yes, that most weeks it probably is boring because to me you need star power. But if you can put people and feuds on the show and week in and week out at least have something interesting happen, then no, that's not true. So I guess we have to see with Punk back now. I mean, you got Cody on there every week, Seth on there every week. You know, let's see Punk on there every week. You know, it's these guys that Brock and Roman schedule now, and if Punk kind of has the same one where he's like misses every other show, those every other shows without the top guys, I'm like, because in the Attitude Era, they were mostly on every show. Because even during the tape weeks, they would tape backstage segments and make them part of that show. Like at least, you know, I don't know.
SmackDown's usually a pretty easy watch. It's a 2-hour show, and they got the star power. I think it flows pretty nice. Raw can drag sometimes. Being
the problem with Raw is that third hour because they gotta fill it up so bad with fillers. So
3 hours, man.
Yeah, it's tough, but you know, if you're not covering it for a living, you can just watch the YouTube clips and you're pretty much caught up.
Hey, is that shirt a Rhea Ripley shirt, Mike?
Yes. Mommy's always on top.
Nice. All right, Aaron, any other super chats?
We're caught up.
Let's go around and do our plugs. CM Punk did it again, a 30-minute main event. Man, this guy can go even at 45. All right, Mike, go ahead and do your last call here.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys, again for having me on, and really enjoy being on here. Like I said, I'm the fan of the bunch. I consider you guys the wrestling experts, and I'm kind of just the fan that watches it. And Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can hear me in a more X-rated version on Flights, Football, anything else. We record Thursday nights, and the release is late Thursday night or, very early Friday morning on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a few other platforms, but I don't ever listen on those platforms. So a follow and a listen, like I say, X-ray. I mean, we stay professional, but it's a little more NC-17 rated, and there is some wrestling talk, and then this a lot of the stuff that bores Aaron to tears.
Nice. When am I going to be on that show? Because I listen to all of the above or watch.
But hey, we'll have to set something up. Because Dave, the guy I do the pod with, he's the tech guy, so he would have to set everything up and cue you in so you could be on. Because obviously ours isn't a live stream; ours is just strictly audio.
Yeah.
So, but I'll ask.
No hard feelings, but maybe throw me in the queue. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for being on. All right,
Walter, thanks for having me.
Mr. Reliable.
Well, first off, in case you missed it, please go back last night. We had a fun open mic night. Go check that out in the Casa de 18 Studios or the Jeff Meacham Network, because we did an interview with a professional wrestler, Gino. Told you so. And it was a great night to be able to get somebody who's in the business and their insight. So go ahead and check that out and check out everything that they're doing, because they's going to die with all the watch-alongs. And speaking of watch-alongs, I got one for the UFC. If you check out my Rage of Wrestling YouTube, December 16th coming up with Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. So I'm going to do that watch-along. You can catch me on the X, Twitter, Twix, whatever you want to call it, at Walter Alex Cruz. And then, of course, the Instagram at Cal5 Farms. And as always, thanks for having me up here.
No problem, Walter. All right, Aaron. And by the way, just Jerry Slaughter put in a request to be on next week's show, as did Colin. So I think we're going to see those two guys next week. So stay tuned. All right, Aaron.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat, says, seriously, Roman Reigns is not there weekly. It feels like there's more stars that could be main eventers now than back in 2015 due to poor booking. I agree with him. I mean, I mentioned this recently. Jey Uso, they could put him in a main event and he'll be credible. The fans love the guy. They love Cody Rhodes. They love Sami Zayn. They love CM Punk. Like, they got a lot of hot baby faces in WWE right now. LA Knight, like, any of these guys could main event a house show and carry it. Like,
and they still got the NXT people. I mean, Trick Williams is a star. I'm telling you, when he moves on over, if they keep him booked like that, he's gonna be big. Yeah.
I guess we're gonna have to have Booker T back on Raw or SmackDown just so he could play along with the entrance. But yeah, I think they've done a great job building up babyface stars, and pretty much all those guys I mentioned lost to Roman Reigns, and they're doing just fine. So there you go. All right. I do want to – I put up the graphic. I'll put it up again just so Jeff is happy here. He's got like 9, 10 live streams this week. He asked if I could plug his stuff. It's crucial. You check out the Jeff Meacham Network. If you're not there, what are you waiting for? JeffMeachamNetwork.com. Search Jeff Meacham on YouTube for all this content. Greg Cherry has a stream. You have live watch-alongs. You have recaps. Everything you could want with wrestling discussion is over at the Jeff Meacham Network, and they talk about other stuff besides wrestling. They talk about Disney. They talk about sports. You got Mike's podcast with sports, but you can also watch the Jeff Meacham Network for sports and Disney
karaoke
and wrestling and guys singing at midnight. Jeff Meacham Network, what are you waiting for?
Guys singing Disney princess songs. I tuned in one night and I was hearing that. But hey, if that's your thing, go for it.
And you can watch Greg Cherry do the Prince Nana dance on the Jeff Meacham Network. Head over there now. As soon as we stop here, go over to the Jeff Meacham Network and check his content out. One of the hardest working men in the business of wrestling podcasting. MJF put him over. He's far superior to me. That's a direct quote from MJF. So Jeff Meacham Network, be there or be square. That's all I got.
All right. And all I got is go to x.com and follow me if you dare at NoDQ_virtue. And hey, even Tito and I get along over there these days. So imagine that anything is possible. Go to NoDQ.com/merch and check out all the great merch. And of course, NoDQ.com, and check out that opinion section, because I have a feeling as this month rolls by, as we're getting closer to the new year, we're going to have a new Virtues Rage up. And who knows what I'm going to say. So for the whole NoDQ galaxy, for Aaron, for Walter, and for Mike, I am Virtue. And guess what? We will see you again next time, NoDQ Galaxy. Good night.